Okay, let's dive right in. It's week 15 of looking over my shoulder at how Profit First works in my business. So, if you've been following along, you should be familiar with the setup. The current allocation percentages that I'm using right now are in this column. And then these are the accounts that I use. What I don't have listed here is what's up here, that my income account. And then we're going to show how my deposits from last week get allocated out to my different Profit First accounts based on current percentages. And then I will document any transactions that had happened within those accounts and transfers. And so you can see how this works. And then the graphs below show the history. So the numbers you're seeing are just this week's activity summarized in a overview, high level. And then, but these graphs down here are showing the trends of what's been happening in each of these accounts. So let's jump in. So last week's deposits, I had $4,598.32. Okay, last week I had $4,598.32 that was deposited. And now that's the net. I've talked about this before. This is net of any credit card transaction fees. And I just don't get tied up into the detail. I know some people will go back and say, oh, that was really $4,700 that came in, and then try to shift money around. And I just can't. I need this to work for me. And what works for me is just that's the amount that's in my deposit account or my income account. That's just the net. I just know that it's my income net of any processing credit card processing fees, because that's what's available to me at the end of the day that I need to transfer between my accounts, to allocate out to my accounts. So this is what works for me. So this is my deposit that came in last week, and you'll see on my spreadsheet how this allocation column already calculated based on my current percentages. And then I bank at Relay, and I have an automatic transfer set up that just automatically happens on every Monday morning. That is based on percentages in my account. So Relay is actually programmed to do automatic bank transfers based on percentages that I provided, not fixed dollars. And so I've loaded these percentages into Relay, and it's already done these allocations for me. Now, the way my business runs is everything gets charged to a credit card because I get cash back on that credit card. And I only pay one payment typically by check, which is my rent. So this week, the only thing I have going on is payroll. And the payroll that came out of my OPEX account was $5,136.23. So that's the total for me and my VA. I have a VA who works part-time for me a couple hours a week, helping me get stuff taken care of behind the scenes. And so that's the total money that went out of my account. And then that's actually a minus. I typed that as a positive number. So that's a minus. Now, so that's the only money that went out of my account, but I have to reimburse so I save for my salary in a separate account. And right now I have 17,613 available for my payroll, my paychecks. And so I need to take out 4140.38, which that's my gross plus payroll tax. And so that comes out of my owner's compensation account, and I'm going to transfer this amount into my OPEX account. So initially it looked as if my OPEX account would be overdrawn, but that's not really true, because I already had the money for my portion of payroll set aside in the owner's comp account. Now, something, if you watched last week, the my travel expenses in September were higher than I expected or had planned for when I went to the annual Profit Con in New Jersey. I went for extra days so that I could not only meet with my mastermind, but I flew in early so I could visit with my Profit First friends, and I stayed a couple days later to continue visiting with some of my Profit First friends. It's just nice to see people in person that I'm on Zoom calls with all the time. So that just added being there longer was not really something that I had anticipated. And so I'll have to work on adjusting my percentage, but I'm going to stick with the percentage I have now. But it left me with, this is why this number is highlighted in yellow, 1480. I overspent. So I overspent by 1480. Now, luckily, I had the money in my OPEX account, so I just paid it. But I left this sitting here because I need to replenish, I need to reimburse the OPEX account for what I overspent on my mastermind. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do another transfer. So right now I've got $321.88 in my mastermind account. I'm actually going to move this amount into the OPEX account. So notice how my transfer is always net to zero. So what went in somewhere went out, came out from somewhere else. So that nets to zero. I have now taken my mastermind account back down to zero. And then I'm going to update that I have already paid back $321.88 of that. So now I still owe $1,158 to my OPEX account, which I will replenish over time as I build this account back up with new allocations. Okay. So let me know what questions you have. And just to go over the accounts, so here's exactly what happens with profit. It goes up, 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 up until the end of the quarter. And then I took a distribution and then now it's building back up. Owner's comp, same thing. It goes up and down, but on a faster scale where profit only has outflows once a quarter. Owner's comp has outflows every other week when I run my payroll. And then tax account is on a quarterly, but a different quarterly. So profit gets paid out at the end of a calendar quarter, and then tax payments are due when the IRS says they're due. And I usually pay them a couple weeks in advance. So like at the beginning of September is when I did this payment, and then it's building back up again. And then OPEX, this is the craziness of OPEX. And by having the extra accounts is I'm trying to eliminate a lot of this craziness that you see with the up, down, up, down. And then my mastermind builds up, and then I all of my mastermind account transactions. That includes the monthly dues plus my travel expenses for any in-person meetings, and that is all funded by this mastermind account. And it's all paid on my credit card. So at the end of the month, when I get my credit card, I go ahead and pay the credit card, but then I go through and review it, and anything that I can tie back to my mastermind, I add that amount up on that credit card statement, and I make sure that I replenish and reimburse the OPEX account for any of my mastermind expenses. So if you have any questions, go ahead and post them below, or you can send me an email to podcast@profitscalethrive.com. Thanks.